Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're decoding the invisible architectural blueprint of plants. I want you to completely forget about the static green surface you see every day. Instead, we're going to explore this microscopic internal architecture as if we were touring a bustling, highly engineered metropolis. Here's our structural roadmap for today. We'll hit the plant's building blocks, check out 3 vital tissue systems, compare roots and stems, dive into the anatomy of the leaf, and finally, wrap up with secondary growth and wood. Let's get to it. Before we start our tour, we really have to look through the lens of plant anatomy. This is simply the study of how internal structures and functional organization allow these plants to handle some seriously rigorous environmental demands. It's their ultimate blueprint. All right, moving into section 1, the plant's building blocks, focusing on cells and tissues. So here's the absolute genius of it. A plant cleverly separates its workforce from its finished infrastructure. On one hand, you've got meristematic tissues. Think of these as the active construction crews, hard at work at the very tips of roots and shoots. They are literally constantly dividing, constantly expanding the city limits. But on the other hand, once those newly formed cells mature, they actually lose their ability to divide. They become what's known as permanent tissues. These are the highly specialized, super durable building materials used to maintain the structure long term. Now notice how these complex permanent tissues act exactly like the internal utilities of a massive skyscraper. You have the xylem, which is the dedicated plumbing system. Made up of elements like tracheids and these long cylindrical vessels, its main job is to transport water and minerals straight up from the roots. Right alongside it is the phloem. This is the plant's highway system. Using unique structures called sieve tube elements and their buddy companion cells, the phloem transports the food manufactured up in the leaves to literally every other part of the plant. Okay, section 2, vital tissue systems, breaking down the 3 main types. What we're looking at here brilliantly illustrates the plant's exterior facade, which is part of the epidermal tissue system. These are stomata, and they aren't just random holes, they're literally automated breathing doors. Notice those 2 bean-shaped guard cells enclosing the pore? They actually contain chloroplasts and will physically inflate or deflate to regulate the vital exchange of gases. This is absolutely crucial for preventing catastrophic water loss. Right behind that outer epidermal facade lies the ground tissue system. Think of this as the interior walls and the insulation of our building. It handles the heavy lifting for the plant, doing everything from carrying out photosynthesis in the leaves to providing necessary mechanical support for young stems. Moving right along to section 3, roots versus stems and their core anatomical differences. Side by side, comparing these 2 dominant plant blueprints, dicots and monocots, reveals some stark mechanical differences. Take the roots plumbing, for instance. Dicots have just 2 to 4 patches of xylem, while monocots feature a polyarch system. That means they have more than 6 patches, plus a much larger, well-developed pith. But the real game changer is in the stems. Dicot stems have their vascular bundles arranged in a very distinct ring, and they have a cambium layer. That cambium is what allows them to grow thicker over time. Monocots, they completely lack this cambium, meaning no secondary outward growth for them. To really visualize what that data means, just look at the highly organized, super neat ring design of the vascular bundles in the dicot stem on the left. That ring structure is a total hallmark of dicots. Now contrast that with the monocot stem on the right. Its vascular bundles are scattered seemingly at random throughout the ground tissue, with the bundles on the outer edges generally being smaller than the ones closer to the center. It's a completely different architectural style. Ascending to the very top of our plant metropolis, we arrive at section 4, leaf anatomy, the plant's solar panels. A leaf's architecture is perfectly tuned for its environment. Dicot leaves, which are called dorsiventral, actually have a distinct top and bottom. Their interior tissue, the mesophyll, is highly differentiated. You've got densely packed vertical palisade cells at the top to catch the sun, and loosely arranged spongy parenchyma below with air cavities for gas exchange. On the flip side, monocot leaves, like grasses, are isolateral, meaning their internal tissue is pretty uniform. But check out this mind-blowing detail. Grasses have these specialized, empty, colorless cells on their upper epidermis called bulliform cells. During a severe drought, these cells lose water and become flaccid, which literally forces the leaf to curl inward on itself. It forms a protective shield to minimize water loss. How cool is that? So understanding all these basic tissues brings up a really fascinating mechanical puzzle. How exactly do these tiny, relatively soft green primary stems eventually expand into the massive, towering, impenetrable tree trunks we see out in forests? Well, to answer that, we explore Section 5, Secondary Growth and Wood, which is all about expanding the girth. This whole expansion process is driven by that lateral meristem we talked about earlier, the vascular cambium. By tracking the seasonal shifts of this cambium, we can see exactly how the plant physically pushes its infrastructure outward, year after year. In the spring, when conditions are fantastic, the cambium is highly active. It produces springwood, which is lighter in color with wider cavities. But come winter, that activity slows way down. The tree produces autumnwood, which has much narrower vessels and a darker, higher density finish. These alternating concentric rings permanently record a single year of the tree's life. And that's exactly how scientists can read a forest historical climate record. As a tree continually widens over decades, a dramatic transformation happens right in its center. As the source material notes, the heartwood does not conduct water, but it gives mechanical support to the stem. See, the innermost core of the tree gradually fills up with protective organic compounds, things like resins, tannins, gums, and essential oils. This completely shuts down the central plumbing. The wood turns dark brown, its highly lignified walls actually die, but here is the incredible paradox. In dying, it gains immense durability and incredible resistance to insects. Honestly, isn't it profound that the greatest structural strength of a towering ancient tree relies entirely on the beautifully organized, dead architecture at its very core? The sapwood on the outside keeps the active plumbing going, for sure, but it's the dead heartwood that holds the whole metropolis up. It really forces us to ask, what other invisible architectural wonders are hiding right in front of us, masked by a simple layer of green? Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I'll catch you next time.